What about it, YouTube? Okay, there's a guy, a friend, 6 Gorillian sea monkeys that's been commenting on my last video, and he's talking about money. And I gotta be honest with you, I try to understand what he says, but it's a little bit cryptic, or maybe a lot bit cryptic, so I don't know how I'm going to be able to exactly convey his thinking maybe and represent it correctly, but I'll try. And in the first comment he makes, he says, basically I think he's saying agreed, okay, and then non-central banking, no usury, I guess he agrees with that. Zero inflation, he agrees with that. And then he's saying disagree. US printed 98% out over currency's value. Then he goes on and says only inflation in Germany was during war. Reason obvious. But let's go back. He's saying 98%. US printed 98% out over currency. So I replied with just this much. Oh man, it's not showing me my whole comment unless I go to the video. Hold on. Alright, so first of all, I have to pause myself. Oh, that's good. Okay. So, my response, currency value, question mark, 98% over. Okay, then I say, who decides? Who decides that, what you just said? And what does that even mean really by itself? Currency value. What does that even mean by itself at 98% over? Juxtaposed to what? Compared to what? Throwing a dart against the wall, or anyway, we'll get there. And then I said two things must collide. Money is evidence of labor. Maybe, question mark. You worked for yours, so it makes sense. You see a product that involved labor. You decide to exchange your labor for theirs. Money greases the skids. Everyone's happy. So far, it's just two things colliding and a placeholder making it easy. All theory beyond that quickly becomes word salad for a con artist. So what I'm saying basically is, and I apologize, 6 Gorillian sea monkeys, I don't mean to misrepresent you at all, and I'm just trying to, because there's a lot there to try and unpack, and it's not easy, but I'm trying to unpack at least a little bit of it at a time, at least, to make sense of what you're trying to say and what I think in response. Your response to me now says, dollar is unit of value. Its buying power since Fed 1913, measured in precious metal conversion or labor to earn it. See loss of value in dollar over time. Depending on measure, in effect, conversion to gold, U.S. inflation calculation index formula, if choose to believe honest, could convert dollar to gold once had an actual high value in weight. So I'm struggling with some of this here, how it's worded, but if we just take little bits of it in pieces and try to see what that may be suggesting. Value in weight. Value in weight. Again, who decides? I don't care value in weight of what. Value in weight of oats. Value in weight of anything. Anything that's sold by the pound, bananas. Value and weight of what? What do you mean value and weight of gold? Okay, of gold? Okay, fine. Where did it get its numerical value? What would be different if you said this much gold, 1 shekel, $1, 1 ruble, 1 yen? I mean, what do you mean? Or is it $1? Or is it $20? Or is it $5? And what does that mean? Because this little thing of gold doesn't do much for me. It doesn't do any work by itself. If you're going to call this gold now 5, how is that different than calling a piece of paper 5? Neither one of them do much for me. If all they're meant for is to be a placeholder of something real, which I hope we can agree that labor is real. This is my argument against UBI or modern monetary theory or what's going on right now actually that is just happening in a way that you don't understand. If modern monetary theory is figured out, if what's going on right now is figured out to a point that somebody without any connection to real value gets a hold of it, I don't know what will happen. I can't predict that. I'm suggesting let's accept what's happening now for what it is, and let's take advantage of understanding it so that there's no usury, and so that the benefits of it can be maximized without disconnecting money from labor. And when I say that, I'm saying that in all of this, when you talk about a value of something, it has to be juxtaposed to something else. There's a collision that happens. There's two things that can go on. Hey, I can do this, and you can provide that. How can we make those two things come together in a marriage without a whole lot of trouble? Right? I can grow tomatoes, you can sell chickens, right? Whatever. But how can we, right? Or whatever it is you do that is labor, and then you store that evidenced in your money. The money now, there's evidence there. Now, the central banks, this is me trying to decode it and giving it labels that make good, honest sense to go forward with. So when I say money is evidence of labor, I didn't get that from somebody. That's me. Or, I'm sorry, there might be some credit I need to give to E. Michael Jones, although he's Nazbull, and we got to be careful with that. We won't go there now. But he suggested that, I don't know if he worded it that way, but he suggested that there should be this moral connection of labor. The Benedictines recognized that labor had value, and that should be the source of money. Okay? So fine. All right. So I'm saying to call it... Now, if you talk to the Fed, they're going to say it's evidence of debt. They want you to think of it that way. So you can approach money from any angle. And I'm suggesting that every angle that has been offered to you thus far is word salad, con artist BS. And it doesn't matter anything except, like, right now. Yes, I know there was Bretton Woods. Yes, I know there was a certain condition that happened up until 1933 when we, ran out of gold at Fort Knox to pay. So, yeah, I know all that, but it's really not important right now. Yeah, okay, so the scam was, here comes the fiat money from the Fed, and we'll take and it ran in tandem with gold still being money, right? Like, gold was still as far as coin. So if you wanted coin, you could have that in gold. But now the Fed is printing these notes. And then see, they say the notes is evidence. Note denotes debt. So notes means debt. So it's evidence of debt. That they'd love you to think that. Lovely. So now they offer you this at a charge, at usury, when they did what? Nothing but issue it. It could be done by the Treasury just as easily with, again, it shouldn't even be called notes. That's the wrong term. That's what gets us started on all of this sidetracked, usurious sodomy of the economy. So I hate to use it myself and not have it understood that I don't mean it always if I say notes. It should be just certificates or coupons, whatever. Again, nobody complains if there's such a thing as a coupon. Nobody complains if you get a cash advance at your job, right? Because it all makes sense to you, right? Like, yeah, I'm gonna work, but they just give me the money first. Or, oh, I'm buying this at the store and I have a coupon. You don't feel guilty about that you got it cheaper. You don't feel like, oh, somebody had to suffer. I mean, these zero-sum guys, a lot of them are the ones that want to cheat on their taxes, to be honest with you. A lot of them, so if they're so zero-sum, they should be like, oh, no. By goodness, we've got to keep margins up, and we've got to have bottom lines met, and we've got to, I'm getting sidetracked. I'm sorry. Let's get back on track. When it comes to just money and its value, it doesn't matter if it's paper or if it's gold. And so the joke was in the beginning, yeah, we're going to loan it to you, but we want all of our usury paid back. All the interest needs to be paid back in gold. Okay? We'll give out the fiat, you pay us back. And all of the requirement was just to pay back was just the interest. So it's understood even by them, and it's understood. Anyone who wants to believe that the U.S. debt of, what is it now, $25 trillion? I don't even know. Does anybody even talk about it anymore? But, years ago it was 19 or 21 or $17 trillion, and our grandkids are going to have to pay this back. Is that ridiculous? This didn't come from some dude's paper route. There isn't capital that was built up by some hardworking small hat, and he just has all this money laying around and can't wait to loan it to the U.S. at interest, because otherwise he could be investing in, China? But no, he's going to go ahead and be nice and invest in us, but we've got to... No, they just issued it. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke how they have you wrapped up into thinking that the principle is merely a ledger. It's just a history. It's just like counting, how many times you've taken a dump or something. It doesn't matter, really. It's just a ledger of activity. But all of that was borrowed because of something real that was needed that took labor, right? At the same time, but it doesn't have equity or really noticeable equity in the end. So if you borrow for senators to pay their mortgage and to fill up their refrigerators, so what? It's gone. Or they have a little bit of savings from it or whatever in their 401k. But it's not like monetary inflation that you did that. Or if you pay for a military and they make bombs and whatever they do, okay? Or they pay their soldiers so that they can fill up the refrigerator and pay their mortgage. At the end of the day, little to no equity, nothing to worry about. It's just people surviving. It's just fine. All of that could be magicked. All of that is magicked into existence. Do you see? All those military personnel. Do we run around talking about how, the daggone military, they're like leeches on the economy. They don't produce anything. They just destroy crap and suck off of us taxpayers. They should get a real job and be garbage man or do something real. Yeah. No, nobody complains about the military getting paid a wage that comes from MMT, that comes from money just being issued because there's a need. So that's why I say, in the hands of a benevolent whoever, leader, you could use this newfound knowledge of MMT to not only go the step that Trump has of borrowing at zero interest, thank you very much, beautiful, but now that there's no requirement for the borrowing, okay? I mean, I don't care if you want to call it a note at zero interest, because basically that's just taking all the power out of it and there's no debt to it, right? So it's issued and there should be what? No tax requirement, okay? Literally, that would make perfect sense. If Trump came out and said, guess what, we're borrowing at 0% interest, all of our borrowing last year was done at 0% interest, we don't have a burden this year for income tax, all you guys just go ahead and send a thank you letter to the IRS and we're done with it. That would make perfect sense. And I would be all the happier, I guess, and I'd be fine with that. Okay? But if you want to be even more benevolent with it, anything that is needed. So the country needs a military. Well, you personally need health care. Okay? And I know that some people aren't going to understand this, but I'm trying. You need health care. Or you need sustenance. All right? And how your lodging and everything would be worked into this, I won't go there because that gets a little bit hard to deal with. Like, then what's fair for this person and that person? But everyone, rich or poor, small or big, whatever, has to eat and has to, has healthcare concerns. And it'd be nice if they had healthcare coverage, right? Those two things could be satisfied with like an MMT without causing any kind of monetary inflation, without divorcing money from labor. It could just be known that no matter what kind of bad situation I find myself in, the government has got me set up with $250. I don't know. What's reasonable? $300 personally for me to eat. Okay? I have that. I have that on a public utility card. Every month it re-ups $300 or whatever is fair. That only works for food, right? Just like EBT, right? So everybody's got like this certain sustenance level of EBT. Rich people want to, buy caviar and and you don't need it or don't want to use it. Nobody's forcing you to use it, but it's there if you need it. Okay, it's there. You've got it. You're covered. And also, if you go in for more than the sniffles, you've got it. You've got it. You're covered. You break your arm, hey man, here's my card. There's a doctor that can fix arms at the hospital. There's you that has the need to get your arm repaired. All you need is the money. That can be magicked instantly. And then you're back to working and you're now productive again and everybody's happy and the doctor got compensated for what he did. And everyone's happy. There wasn't a monetary inflation in that. So I'm saying with you 6 Gorillian sea monkeys, I'm approaching money from this direction of it's two things colliding. That's what it is. And money is what greases the skids, and it's evidence of labor, and it's a placeholder in between interactions. And if it needs to be fronted so that something can happen, right? So I got this great idea. I actually do have a great idea. To me, it's a great idea. I want to make a motorcycle trailer. I really do. I went to school for it even. I've got the parts I need for it. I need to set up a lathe and a mill, and I'm good to go. But that's me having to do it the hard way. If I could have taken my idea somewhere and said to somebody, hey, can I get a cash advance and buy a Tormac, 4-axis machine or a Haas machine, and I want to build these things, and I think I can sell them, I think I can do something with this, and it looks like it's going to be a public good, it looks like it's something viable, and they front me the money, and lose or fail, doesn't matter. Fail, oh well. Bankrupt, start over. Jubilee, start over. We tried, start over. But you ought to be able to get that money and at a fee, not interest. Anyway, I hope I've explained it better. God bless.